Hi guys, welcome to Team Fit AF. I'm so happy to have you here. This first video is going to be all about tracking your macros and how to get started with that. So you'll notice that in your first member guide questionnaire that you had a ton of questions on food choices as well as macros, calories, if you know them, and all of that. So this first video is going to get you started into tracking your macros if you haven't tracked them already. If you have tracked them already, then this may help you, give you some tips and help you get a better idea of where we're going to go from here. So the first thing that you want to do is download a tracking app. Something like MyFitnessPal would be a good choice. This is the one that I've used the most and had my clients use. It also connects directly with our training app that we'll be using for everything else. So the integration there is pretty awesome, as well as this has the biggest database and you're able to barcode scan things, which makes it a great fit for what we'll be doing. So first step is to download MyFitnessPal app or another tracking app. Our next step is going to be getting a baseline of where you're at now. So that will take 3 to 5 days of you tracking your calories, tracking your macros. So what I recommend to do, instead of using like MyFitnessPal's generated calorie goals, I don't want you hitting a certain calorie goal because I want to see what your average is now. What you want to do is get on the desktop version of MyFitnessPal and zero out all of your goals. So you'll click on the goals section and put 0 for calories, and that will zero everything out without you having to use the premium version and without having some sort of goal to be looking at. The problem with having a goal right at the beginning without knowing where you're at is kind of feeling that defeat feeling if you go way over or go way under. And MyFitnessPal doesn't really give you the greatest calculations for where you're at now. So once you have been tracking for 3 to 5 days, I'll be able to see those numbers, take an average, which the way I take averages is I add up all of your calories and then divide by the amount of days. So if you tracked for 5 days and each day that you tracked, I'll be able to calculate those all together by dividing by 5, and I'll figure out where your average is from there. Once I have your average, I'll be able to compare this to what your goals are, and we'll be able to figure out where to go from there, whether it's raising calories or lowering calories. And most of the time with most of my clients, it is raising calories. So be prepared for what phase we're going to be going into. It may be raising calories. Our next step from here just depends on where you're at as far as your fitness journey goes, your experience level, how comfortable you are with using the tracking apps. So from here, I might have you just have a calorie goal where we just try to hit the same amount of calories and don't pay attention to macros as much. I might have you on a calorie and protein goal with a fiber goal, or I might have you on a full macro split. So all of this just depends on where you are in your journey. And each of those we can kind of figure out together what we're going to do to hit those goals. So whenever you have a calorie goal, I'll have a protein goal for you, or if I do have a protein goal for you, then the best way to do this is to take your protein goal and divide it by how many times you'll eat in the day. Splitting out your protein instead of eating it all at one sitting helps with your digestion as well as muscle protein synthesis, which just means muscle building. We want to keep a steady supply of protein so that you're constantly in a muscle building or muscle sustaining place instead of breaking down muscle, which is what we don't want. Once we have kind of figured out where your calories and proteins are, we might move into a full macro split, and the same thing applies here. We'll kind of split up the carbs and fats depending on your goals, your workouts, and the best for you as far as digestion goes. So we might split those up, distributing them throughout the day evenly, or we might have carbs and fats around your workout a little bit differently. Just depends on your personal goals and your level. Our next point from here is going to be creating a plan from your macro goals or your calorie goals. So once you have your calories and your macros, it's kind of like, well, where do I go from here? So from here, we want to make a plan. So with the foods that you have marked in the member guide or the member questionnaire, from there, I kind of get an idea of what kinds of foods that you like the most. We'll also be using the nutrition guide where we have our eat more, eat some, eat less foods, and we'll be plugging those into MyFitnessPal until we figure out a good plan for you to hit those calorie goals. So we don't want to be just tracking like all over the place, trying to hit numbers, and then getting to the end of the day and having a bunch of protein to hit and no fats or carbs left, or a ton of calories left or no calories left. So the whole goal here is to plan ahead of time. I'll have a whole separate video on how to do this. I also have current IGTV videos on Instagram if you want to refer to those as well. And together we can create a plan. If you want to do like a Zoom call or anything like that, please let me know and we can create a plan real time with you. So that's all I have for macro tracking. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to DM me on the training app or email me, whichever one is easier for you, and happy training.